He recognizes that, so he's like, dude, what are you doing?
Okay, I will say
and then
this.
Elon's retort is, they're gay.
They're gay.
They're gay.
I'm sorry, they're gay, they're black, they're trans, they're gone. No, but the thing is, like, is that, yes, he recognizes that, like, some of this is wrong or whatever, but I think...
Anyway, that's what I'm talking about. All right.
You want to do the Trump meeting?
Which one?
Did we do the Musk Doge one?
No, I haven't. I have not done that yet. But I want to see if there's a video of it or something, because I want to see.
Well, there's no...
Yeah.
The Times had people inside. Like, that's how they got it.
This is the one, yeah.
Yeah, no.
All right, you want to start it off?
Yeah,
I'm going to go pee real quick while you start.
Marco Rubio was incensed. Here he was in the cabinet room of the White House, the Secretary of State, seated behind the president and listening to a litany of attacks from the richest man in the world. Seated diagonally opposite, across the elliptical mahogany table, Elon Musk was letting Mr. Rubio have it, accusing him of failing to slash his staff. "You have fired nobody," Mr. Musk told Mr. Rubio, then scornfully added that the only person he had fired was a staff member from Mr. Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. Mr. Rubio had been privately furious with Mr. Musk for weeks, ever since his team effectively shuttered an entire agency that was supposedly under Mr. Rubio's control, USAID. But in the extraordinary cabinet meeting on Thursday in front of President Trump and around 20 others, details of which have not been reported before, Mr. Rubio got his grievances off his chest. Mr. Musk was not being truthful, Mr. Rubio said. What about the more than 1,500 State Department officials who took early retirement in buyouts? Didn't they count as layoffs? He asked sarcastically whether Mr. Musk wanted him to rehire all those people just so he could make a show of firing them again. Then he laid out his detailed plans for reorganizing the State Department. Mr. Musk was unimpressed. He told Mr. Rubio that he was good on TV, with the clear subtext being that he was not good for much else. Throughout all of this, the president sat back in his chair, arms folded, as if he were watching a tennis match. After the argument dragged on for an uncomfortable time, Mr. Trump finally intervened to defend Mr. Rubio as doing a great job. Mr. Rubio has a lot to deal with, the president said. He is very busy, he is always traveling and on TV, and he has an agency to run. So everyone just needs to work together. The meeting was a potential turning point after the frenetic first few weeks of Mr. Trump's second term. It yielded the first significant indication that Mr. Trump was willing to put some limits on Mr. Musk, whose efforts have become the subject of several lawsuits and prompted concerns from Republican lawmakers, some of whom have complained directly to the president. Cabinet officials almost uniformly like the concept of what Mr. Musk set out to do, reducing waste, fraud, and abuse in government, but have been frustrated by the chainsaw approach to upending the government and the lack of consistent coordination.
Thursday's meeting, which was abruptly scheduled on Wednesday evening, was a sign
this is the beginning of when it gets funny, by the way.
Was a sign that Mr. Trump was mindful of the growing complaints. He tried to offer each side something by praising both Mr. Musk's team that was not present. The president made mention of the Musk initiative, but now was the time, he said, to be a bit more refined in his approach. This is like the lightest, most like baby criticism that you can give to Elon Musk. From now on, he said, the secretaries would be in charge. The Musk team would only advise. It is unclear what the long-term impact of the meeting will be. Mr. Musk remains Mr. Trump's biggest political financial supporter. Just this week, his super PAC aired $1 million worth of ads that said, "Thank you, President Trump." And Mr. Musk's control of the social media website X has made administration staff members and cabinet secretaries alike fearful that he will target them in public. But if nothing else, the session laid bare the tensions within Mr. Musk's team, and news of the sharp clashes spread quickly through senior ranks of cabinet agencies after it was over. This account is based on the interviews with 5 people with knowledge of the events. In a post on social media after the meeting, Mr. Trump said the next phase of his plan to cut federal workforce would be conducted with a scalpel rather than a hatchet, a clear reference to Mr. Musk's scorched earth approach. Mr. Musk, who wore a suit and tie to Thursday's meeting instead of his usual t-shirt after Mr. Trump publicly ribbed him about his sloppy appearance, defended
do we know what the it's the Times, so their style is not to link to other people.
Yeah.
But I would love to know what he said about Musk.
Yeah.
Like what he said that was the fucking, oh my God, I love it. I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
This is finally some good news.
Yeah. Defended himself by saying that he had 3 companies with a market cap of tens of billions of dollars and that his results spoke for themselves.
All right, let me take this.
He's about to say you bankrupted 7 businesses. He's about to hit him with that one. But you're not a real billionaire. You're fake. You can't go band for band with me, Mr. President.
But he was soon clashing with members of the cabinet. Just moments before the blow up with Mr. Rubio, Mr. Musk, and the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, went back and forth about the state of the Federal Aviation Administration's equipment for tracking airplanes and what kind of fix was needed. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, jumped in to support Mr. Musk. Mr. Duffy said the young staff of Mr. Musk's team was trying to lay off air traffic controller. What am I supposed to do? Mr. Duffy said. I have multiple plane crashes to deal with now, and your people want me to fire air traffic controllers?
That is probably the best.
But it keeps going. It's so good,
the best
man.
part.
Mr. Musk told Mr. Duffy that his assertion was a lie. Mr. Duffy insisted it was not. He had heard it from them directly. Mr. Musk, asking who had been fired, said, "Give me their names. Tell me their names." Mr. Duffy said there were not any names because he had stopped them from being fired. At another point, Mr. Musk insisted that people hired under DEI programs were working in control towers. Mr. Duffy pushed back, and Mr. Musk did not add details, but said during the longer back and forth that Mr. Duffy had his phone number and should call him if he had any issues to raise.
I love this.
The exchange ended with Mr. Trump telling Mr. Duffy that he had to hire people from MIT as air traffic controllers. These air traffic controllers need to be geniuses, he said.
Dude.
I love it.
Dude,
I love it.
When I see stuff like this, it actually increases my libimeter so hard where I'm like, oh my God, they literally are the stupidest people. Like these are unironically, like Trump is unironically dumb. He's such a dumb guy. It pisses me off how much of a dumb guy he is. He's like,
it's so good.
They gotta be MIT. My uncle went there. My uncle was a genius. He was a professor there. And they gotta be from MIT. It's the greatest university. You gotta be brilliant.
Well, it's also like we need to make sure the air traffic controllers are from MIT because we don't want the people from MIT doing the things that we're laying people off in, like, biomedical research, finding the cure for cancer, finding Alzheimer's treatments. Exploring all that helium-3 that your chat kept telling me about on the moon.
On the moon.
Yeah, like...
It's not cheese, it's helium-3.
Correct. And instead we need those people making sure that planes don't crash into each other, which they weren't doing, by the way, when we had wokeness.
It makes me so mad. But it is funny because, like, I like that Duffy has to be the competent guy in this situation because he at the end of the day recognizes that these layoffs are bad, especially at a time when especially at a time when planes are falling out of the sky and there's need for more air traffic controllers, not less. He recognizes that. So he's like, dude, what are you doing?
Okay, I will say
and then
this.
Elon's retort is they're gay.
They're gay.
They're gay.
I'm sorry. They're gay. They're black. They're trans. They're gone. But the thing is that, yes, he recognizes that like some of this is wrong or whatever, but I think a more useful way to frame this, right? Like within the context of this whole meeting, because it's about to go to like talk about this, like, the VA, for example. Yeah. We already had state, like this is about, secretaries, presidential appointments who see this guy coming in and stepping all over them, taking their power, f***ing up their fiefdom. So like the reason that in this article, by the way, notice how he never says a person said. Yes, they're drawing from accounts, but like, this is reconstructed, on deep background, meaning that more likely than not, the person speaking to the 2 reporters, Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan, is somebody who is in the meeting who has an axe to grind and who wants to make Elon look like a putz.
Yeah.
And that's because these people see the threat he poses to their power. They see that like this guy doing what he's doing, like they say in the article, they agree broadly with the objectives of Doge. Which is a belief that is in direct conflict with what actually doing that thing means, which is like cutting their nuts off collectively.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder they're pissed. They've been taking a fucking beating in the last week.
You're cutting your nose to spite your face because you have this like insane ideological commitment to deregulation. But that Trump even saying that they're going to use a scalpel instead of a hatchet implies that they implies that they certainly recognize the situation, and that they're gonna have to be more careful in the future, because otherwise, like, you know, it's gonna become too unpopular. Like, these decisions are far too unpopular because they're far too consequential. The Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, has been dealing with one of the most politically sensitive challenges of all the cabinet secretaries. Mr. Musk's cuts will affect thousands of veterans, a powerful constituency and a core part of the Trump base. Mr. Collins made the point that they should not wield a blunt instrument and cleave off everyone from the VA. They needed to be strategic about it. Mr. Trump agreed with Mr. Collins, saying they ought to retain the smart ones and get rid of the bad ones. Oh my God. In response,
there's just three.
But this implies that they believe their own shit, though.
Yeah, well, but this is where it's like this, but also that has like the tone to me of, like, you know, pacifying a baby. Like, there's a quality where they're like, well, of course we're gonna keep the good ones and get rid of the bad ones. I mean, but they're running away from the fact that, like, laying off any veterans at all is an insane political prospect for, like, the administration that runs more or less on, like, you know, like American flags on the back of trucks. The next paragraphs are just a bunch of statements that are all boring.
Yeah. Okay. In response, okay, yeah.
And then Duffy is with him. Mr. Musk, who later claimed on X that the cabinet meeting was very productive, seemed far less enthused inside the room.
He aggressively defended himself, reminded the cabinet secretaries that he had built multiple billion-dollar companies from the ground up and knew something about hiring good people. Most cabinet members did not join the fray. Mr. Musk's anger, directed at Mr. Rubio in particular, seemed to catch people in the room by surprise, which I'm going to show you in a second, like the aftermath of it, because Trump was asked about it. Another person said Mr. Musk's caustic responses to Mr. Duffy and Mr. Rubio, other cabinet members, many of whom have privately complained about the Musk team from speaking. But it remains to be seen how long this new arrangement will last. Here it is. This is Donald Trump getting asked about the clashes that took place, according to the New York Times reporting, between Little Marco and Little Elon.
Mr. President, since you last spoke about it yesterday, some details have come out about your cabinet meeting with Elon Musk.
And even the dick riders in that room, by the way, still cannot stop themselves from engaging with palace intrigue. So this kind of story,
dude, what is this? What is this channel? I don't know.
Dude, that's Real America's Voice, dog. What do you mean? Excuse me.
I'm always so good.
Excuse me.
It's, I swear to God, we have like American Timu media. You know what I mean?
No, everything. Yeah, everything is like this. Everything is like this. All of the independent media is like this now.
Yeah, it's like fucking like China has Shein, and we have like 50 million different conservative media brands.
Yeah, it's great. I love that.
Musk and some clashes potentially between Secretary Rubio and Secretary
No
Duffy.
clash. I was there. You're just a troublemaker. And you're not supposed to be asking that question because we're talking about the World Cup.
You're a troublemaker.
You're not supposed to be asking that question. First of all, Donald Trump has never shied away from a glacier that is completely irrelevant to whichever world leader is standing next to him. That's his favorite thing, to just make, like, I don't know, the Jordanian king stand next to him as he answers a question about how Zell Disney is a corrupt dictator, or how wonderful the Doja operation has been so far. He just sits there. The Jordanian king just like has to nod his head along, or Keir Starmer or whatever. So obviously, the reason why he's saying you're not supposed to ask that question, the FIFA president is here, not in front of the president of FIFA, is because he doesn't like the question.
And because it's like, and this is the other thing, is like, it's true. Like the premise of it is like very real, and it's probably like the one of the, you know, it's probably given, I mean, to the extent that Trump feels heartburn, it's probably giving him some version of it.
Yeah. Not in front of the FIFA president of all people. Not here, not now. How dare you?
Well, I'm great with Marco, and they're both doing a fantastic job. There is no clash.
Mr. President,
Who are you with? Who are you with?
NBC.
No wonder. That's
Mr. President,
NBC.
who has more authority, Elon Musk or the cabinet secretaries?
Any other questions about the World Cup?
Can we
I'd love to discuss this. This is something.
Yeah.
His mannerisms are great. All right. Finally, you know, it took like a month. It took 6 weeks
It took longer. It took longer than this shaky allegiance to kind of start crumbling a little bit.
It is like, I think it's, not counting the pre-inauguration period because those are, that's preseason. It does really seem that like 6 weeks was about the time that most people, like if you gave it to them, would have said that like Musk and Trump would start, oh, wow.
Emhud loves this photo. It's such a awful photo.
Is that her boy? The guy?
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy who. That's the guy from that news outlet that
I didn't see the substance, but that looks like a still from it.
Yeah, it's just. This is a terrifying. This is a terrifying photo.
Yeah, I'm
dude.
really pissed at the French lady for making that movie that gave us this image. This isn't fair for me to look at.
Yeah.
I always forget too that she has like crazy hands. Like,
yeah. Hold on. Okay. Chat, what is a FIFA task force? What is this? Do I even have to say it? Okay. All right. Let's see what else what else happened when they asked the same question again later.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
She says, want to follow up on the cabinet meeting, sir, about like Marco Rubio and Elon Musk.
Musk will play an advisory role. Doge will play.
We're talking about FIFA. Thank you very much.
He's like, he loves the sport. He is just so, this man does not fuck around.
He loves ball.
Yeah. He's like, when is football
He's like,
time?
I'm sorry, we're here to talk ball.
When is football time? When is football time?
Why are we talking about Marco?
Yeah.
Why are we talking about little Marco? I'm here to talk about
Does
ball.
little Marco no ball? If not, I don't care. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it.
I'm sorry, I thought we were here to talk about Gooners.
Yeah.
Are we not here to talk about Gooners?
And they're both great guys. And by the way, they both get along fantastically well.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
man. Mom and Dad are doing just fine. They're not going anywhere. She's just spending a night outside of the house because the bed's not comfortable. Everything is fine.
And it's your fault that they're breaking up.
You're being a troublemaker. You're not supposed to ask that question. Or they're not going to stay together. If you're a good boy, though, maybe they'll stay together. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
Joe has done unbelievably as Secretary of State. And Elon is a very unique guy who's done a fantastic job.
Do you think he needs to be reined in as
Enough. It's FIFA.
Enough. It's FIFA.
It's FIFA. I don't play 2K. I don't play 2K.
Enough.
It's not a good game. It's not real. It's a Mickey Mouse game.
Enough. It's FIFA.
Best 2 of 3 in FIFA. Golden goal.
Yeah.
5-star teams.
All right.
Thank you.
So there is also the layoffs that have climbed in February to the highest level since the pandemic. And that is not even taking into account like the other additional layoffs that might happen because of the Doge cuts that are happening, even though they've said that they're going to scale those back now, because everything that this administration does is just break things first and then ask for forgiveness later, or just like try to piece it back together later with not much thought given to it at all.
The unemployment report is giving us a fuller picture of the job market under the Trump administration. Meanwhile, new figures show layoffs reached the highest levels last month since the height of the COVID pandemic. Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady is with us. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning to you, Adriana. Okay, so today's jobs report missed expectations slightly, but showed a labor market relatively unchanged in regards to hiring. So we saw 151,000 jobs added last month, and the unemployment rate ticked up slightly to 4.1%. The sectors with the biggest gains included healthcare, finance, and transportation, whereas federal employment dropped by 10,000.
That likely reflects some. Did you see that?
Excuse me. How else are people going to understand how to do a job search?
That's my favorite job search website.
This is what my haters should be doing. Okay, find job. You understand me? That's what you need. Find job and then find God.
Actually,
Federal
wait, no.
employment.
This is actually you're doing deceptive, subtle programming to radicalize your audience into getting a damn job.
Yeah, that's
get a job.
Dropped by 10,000. That likely reflects some of the Doge cuts, but the bigger impact will be seen in the next 2 job reports. However, February layoffs paint a different picture, reaching the highest level in nearly 5 years. A new report from placement firm Challenger Gray & Christmas shows employers cut just over 172,000 jobs last month. That is a 245% increase from January. So 1/3 of those layoffs come from the government sector, as this data data does reflect more of those Doge cuts. The retail and tech sectors also did big layoffs. The takeaway, the hiring picture hasn't changed drastically, but layoffs are increasing. Concern is brewing with tariffs and a pullback in consumer spending. So these next couple jobs report, that's going to be where you look for that.
God, I just feel for all those people who are now without work, looking for work.
So
those tariffs are definitely a concern. How could that impact the unemployment rate?
So you could see it go up because if a business has
like
increased costs due to tariffs, they might have to lay off some people. And also, if they pass it on to the consumer, maybe prices increase, people don't spend as much, and the business doesn't do as well, so they also have to lay off some people.
When Donald Trump won November's election...
I love the title. Is Trump crashing the U.S. economy?
Is Trump crashing the U.S. economy?
The answer is yes.
Financial markets seemed almost as pleased as his supporters. Anticipating a Wall Street-friendly administration, a Trump bump sent the S&P 500 up 2.5% after polling day, a rally that continued right through to mid-February in a peak of 6.3% higher. But since then, uncertainty about his economic plans, specifically the cost of those tariffs, have caused a Trump slump, with all the gains since Election Day handed back. Now, that slump has accelerated in this last week of unpredictability. On Monday, Trump confirmed that tariffs against China, Mexico and Canada would be implemented. The market fell. On Tuesday, the tariffs began. Trump warned...
Trump bump to Trump slump.
Yeah, this is Sky News, Murdoch media. They're doing good work here.
Of a little disturbance in his address to Congress. But on Wednesday, he paused the tariffs after the car industry lobbied him to hold back. But a day later, facing threats of retaliation, he paused the levies on Canada and Mexico entirely for a month. All bumps in the road, but in the same direction, down. And that's because the tariffs are costly and disruptive and aimed at America's three biggest trading partners. Mexico has a total of $840 billion of goods traded with the US. Canada, $761 billion, and China, $582 billion. Now, these are total imports and exports, but the US has trade deficits with all three. That means it imports more than it exports, and it is that which irks Donald Trump, who believes it is fundamentally unfair.
This has been very unfair. Our country, from an economic standpoint and financial standpoint and a trade standpoint, has been absolute. Almost every country in the world, Canada, Mexico, and then you just go right down the line.
Now, if these tariffs were to be sustained, they would come at a price for consumers. This chart shows market expectations for inflation in the US, and you can see it's rising. Now, if we add a line for Europe, we can see the gap between the two has widened. In fact, it's at its largest in 3 years. And anecdotally, US businesses, including the retail giant Target, are warning of price rises. And there are also some early indications that growth may be slowing. This is from the Atlanta Federal Reserve. It's their best assessment of the economy.
There has been like a bunch of other estimates that have come out that project like GDP. The left-wing economist J.W. Mason has some stuff on his blog about this, which suggests that like this specific forecast, like this is the most doom and gloom one that's been publicized. It goes viral on Twitter. It may not be like it's what it shows is different enough from other ones that it may be worth taking with like a grain of salt, which is to say that like the economy do be seeming like it's slumping, like things are deteriorating. The stock market sell-off is itself a reflection of this for sure.
And the stock market itself is like the final the final bastion. It's not necessarily indicative when it's up. It's not indicative of the broader economy, especially for the average American laborer doing well.
No doubt. And moreover, that like even
when it's doing poorly, yes, you will feel it because the gains are privatized, the losses are always socialized.
Well, and in this instance, what's happening is that like you now see though that like it's because the shock is what it is, and that like we're not totally sure. Like it's put it this way, right? Like it's not immediately clear, not so evident just how bad things are. Like this projection even exists though, and is being released by a Federal Reserve Bank to be put on TV suggests that the news isn't good. But it's not that bad. A 2.5% shrink in the Q1 of Trump's presidency may be a little bit like too much doom to be credibly wishing for. Like it may not be totally plausible.
Yeah.
Economy today, and it suggests the economy is actually in reverse, shrinking by minus 2.4%. Now, these are not official national figures, but they indicate the jeopardy here for Donald Trump because he promised the precise opposite. Now, Donald Trump has a mandate for tariffs, and for now, he might be using them primarily for political leverage. But if this market downturn lasts and his popularity suffers, we'll find out just how beautiful he thinks tariffs really are.
Damn. They're putting stank on it,
They
dude.
really are. Like that was.
They're doing doo-doo.
I will say though, that's like the kind of broadcast that like it has like a little spice, a little pizzazz, a little like motion. You know, like Americans should pay attention to that. American broadcasters learn a thing or two from our cousins.
It's like here is so fake. Look at this. Elon Musk is now $122 billion poorer than he was at his post-election peak due to Tesla stock plummeting.
It's like this is where though it's like money being fake thing. It's like I do wonder like what effect does this have on like his life in any way? In the same way that like quote unquote buying Twitter for $44 billion, like did it have any like? It's hard for me to it's so.
Money. This is
it's impossible to conceive
This is
of.
the fakest money has ever been throughout the history of currency. There's nothing faker than this, dude. Oh no, he lost $121 billion from eliminated from his net worth because it's like directly tied to his Tesla stocks, and Tesla stocks took a shitter. Why are they so high to begin with? You know,
it has also like this quality to it of how. Because Tesla is like a particularly weird stock and that there's like all of these trades that involve Tesla stock and options and all these other like it also feels like strange that this guy who's like I mean look, he is the protagonist of reality at the moment. It just can't be denied that like the like vicissitudes of that stock price, that he's now the one running and ruining our government. Like it's just it all makes too much goddamn horrible sense.
Yeah. This also is an interesting point from Libophonics, who is the #1 Elon rider in the chat. As someone with an ear towards the Tesla community, what a way to present that, present your background there. I can tell you that the uptick of vandalism and hatred of Teslas is turning a tide. Driving a Tesla is now genuinely a scarlet letter in many parts of the U.S.
It is true.
Yeah.
He really,
especially the Cybertruck. If you have a Cybertruck, it's getting vandalized 100%.
That's been my take, is that like basically the Tesla vandalism, the Tesla hate would actually be even worse were it not for the fact that there is one car in the lineup that, as I've called it, is like the sin eater. It is the scapegoat.
Everyone
for the rest of
everyone
them.
is just like too busy shitting on the Cybertruck that they don't come after like the other, like the Model Y or whatever. Straight up. And it's like I called the guy a Nazi for driving one. It felt great. Yeah. And like people are vandalizing the Teslas. People are vandalizing like Tesla stations as well. I'm obviously not going to say this is a good thing. I don't think this is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing.
Well, you
I'm not
see
saying
that thing that we also think is not a good thing. You see what happened in France?
Yeah.
That we especially don't think is a good thing.
Yes, I will show you more of this thing that I don't think is good. Info, la dépêche. A Tesla dealership set on fire. 12 cars destroyed. At least 700 euros of damage. But that's just France, though. They love doing that shit.
They love doing that.
Yeah.
And we don't support it.
There are some here, multiple bags of dog poop on them.
I live in Manhattan, and there's a couple in my neighborhood, and I've seen one of them like look like it was the owner just had to do something to clean it up. But you see, I mean, I've seen them since being in LA. I've seen like at least a half dozen. I mean, they're really fucking the headlight, that stupid fucking bright headlight that they have is really visible at night. But it is like. I mean, yeah, it's like a giant sore thumb traveling the streets. You just spot it immediately.
Yeah, Tesla sales in Germany, sales plummeted 76%, down 26%, down 26% in February. Norway, nearly 50% decline. Sales dropped 48% in Denmark. Sweden, sales fell 42%. They're faking sales in Canada. What does that mean? Suspicious Tesla surge triggers Canadian government investigation.
Oh my God. Wow. That's like now. It's today.
Also, the other side of this story is that Tesla took out Hertz. Like Tesla literally took out an entire rental car company. If you remember, Tesla was saved by during COVID. Tesla was saved by the rental company Hertz. They went and they bought like a shit ton of their stock, like a shit ton of the Teslas, and they are they're just no one wants them. Like no one wants to rent them. Hertz is a car rental company. You haven't heard about this?
No, I mean, I will say that like I recently rented an EV from Hertz and it was a pain in the balls, but like not the EV part, the Hertz part, but like I am kind of curious that like I vaguely remember this stuff. I mean, I remember Hertz was in trouble. They declared bankruptcy.
Wait, where is it? I thought that there was, there's a Tesla fire sale happening at Hertz right now because the depreciation is like destroying them. Because one, nobody wants to get
yeah.
I'm getting Nazi salutes from Subarus. Tesla drivers targeted.
That's a great line.
Yeah.
I'm getting Nazi salutes from Subarus. I'm getting Sig Hails from GMC drivers.
Yeah, they're like tagging it with swastikas and stuff. Hertz's pioneering of EVs as rental cars seem foolproof. Less maintenance and a lower total cost of ownership are two things that our company competing in the rental spaces thrives for. But as Hertz quickly found out, its grand experiment went horribly wrong.
The goal is sell off at least 30.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like
part of it is because there is no broad EV infrastructure in place.
Like the reason is like, so I rented a Polestar from Hertz.
Yeah.
Got a flat tire like a half mile outside of the
off the way.
lot. Yeah. I mean, which is clearly like that's not Polestar's fault, but like, yeah, no, it's also people don't. I mean, I'm kind of curious what the logic was in the first instance because like people rent cars largely because they put miles on them. And like the one thing that like electric cars are kind of difficult to do with right now in the American context is put a lot of miles on them, do road trips and what. Oh, the Toyota one's a pretty good joke.
Mazda.
Those are pretty good.
That's funny.
Oh my God.
No, this is fake. There's no way this is real. There's no way this is real. Dude, what A5?
I have to believe that's like. That's fake. I mean, that feels very like my friend Willie has a joke like very Republiki Americi. Like when you like this is like the kind of thing that we used to make fun of like people in Poland for doing on the internet like 10 years ago, but now it's us.
We are Turkifying this country at an alarming rate, and it's becoming more. And what is more Turk than Balkan nations? Okay, the United States is becoming more Balkan every single day. Okay, straight up. Mardi Gras parade had a Cybertruck. Everyone started dumping trash on it. That was funny too.
I saw that video. There's a footage of that one, or at least a photo.
It's sounding like Tesla's trying to cook their books and abuse Canadian tax credits due to declining sales and the EV tax credit running out of money soon.
I will say, like, I wrote for Vice News 8 years ago a story about like how basically like there were people at that time. This is 2017 when there was like another round of like Tesla may be bankrupt. Because Musk had just organized that merge with Solar City, which is another one of his companies. And he essentially used Tesla to bail it out.
Yeah.
But like there were tons of, like Tesla says for years, like there used to be a whole community on Twitter, Tesla Q, that was obsessed with short selling Tesla because of these long-standing concerns about accounting fraud. In fact, I interviewed a guy who used to run, he was one of the biggest short sellers on Wall Street, and he's retired now more or less. But like he made it, he was fixated on Tesla as like the big kahuna, of short selling targets. And it does strike me that, it's been able to like ride many different storms, many different production cycles since then. But I don't know how they wriggle out of this one. It does seem like
it's because, first of all, I've literally said this since the Twitter buyout. It is because Tesla, obviously, you have the regular interpretation of the stock, not a car company, so it's 10x the stock valuation of like normal car companies, whatever. That sort of bullshit plays a role in this. But it's because there are far too many people with vested financial interests who are very powerful to make sure that the stock continues performing the ways that it does. But also, Tesla stock is associated with a key man, Elon Musk. So as long as Elon Musk can get up there on stage every single quarter at conferences and lie about what Tesla is going to do in the future, even if he never actually follows through on those promises, even if he's just straight up lying, okay, Tesla stock always went up. But what the downside of that is the moment that your key man's credibility and confidence evaporates,
thing,
the whole thing falls apart.
It's a good way of looking at it because it also like helps explain. And by the way, like what Hasan is saying is, if you read the financial statements, you read analyst notes about Tesla stock, like which obviously change from report to note, but like a lot of them have like consistent pieces of information that they use to explain why a stock is a buy, a hold, a sell rating, whatever. And consistently, one of the like the main things that you use for everything that is a Musk related company is that Elon Musk is an asset, that his name, affiliation, being on the CEO, being like on the board, whatever it is a reason to just like treat a company as being worth so much more than it is.
Yeah,
it's a signal, and that is it's like, you can call it carnival barking to a point, but it's like if he died tomorrow, yeah, like you could credibly assume that the values of all these different companies, I mean, perhaps SpaceX being the most insulated for a bunch of different reasons, but the value of a bunch of these companies would like go to zero. XAI, Tesla, etc. I mean, not zero, but you get it.
I will say this though. Obviously, there's other market factors as well that play a role in this. In terms of like Tesla's stock kind of taking hits over time, one of which is obviously the mass production of electric vehicles from other car manufacturers that have significantly better procurement strategies, that have better builds overall, right? Because like Tesla ultimately is kind of dog shit too. But that has also played a role in this as well. But the most significant aspect is Elon Musk. Now, I was wrong when I said I thought that the public confidence in Elon would be undermined because everyone would see how fucking narcissistic, thin-skinned, and stupid he is after purchasing Twitter and making a fool of himself over and over again with unlimited right-wing sentiment. Turns out the reality is, no, people are just as stupid, and they went along with everything he did and said by saying, no, he's brilliant, no, he's brilliant. Having said that, the association with Trump has finally set in this negative association also, with Elon Musk and the Sig Heiling.
And it was it was also, by the way, like inevitable in that, like, electric cars have been marketed, and Elon Musk's company, like they arose and developed like their market segment in years when having an electric car was a pretty lib coded thing.
Yeah,
like he built a customer base of libs.
That's the other. That's the other thing.
He became like the world's like most annoying Republican.
Yeah,
like you do the math on that.
And that's the other side of the story, which is that the base, the customer base that he tried to build for himself, he thought maybe he could expand on it because like liberals love renewable energy or whatever, and he thought maybe in his mind, because he's a fucking moron, that he could get the Republicans on board with Teslas as well, but all he did was agitate libs into selling their fucking Teslas while also simultaneously trying to penetrate a market that would not, under any circumstance, buy any electric vehicle, let alone a Tesla. Okay?
Well, this is why, like, and the big test of that, by the way.
Okay, Pramia Jayapal is taking notes. Okay. Trans kids didn't hike your rent. Billionaires did. Immigrants didn't make your groceries more expensive. Billionaires did. Federal workers didn't take away your health care. Billionaires did. Okay. At least some Democrats are.
Somebody at least can string a sentence together. 3 of them in this case.
That's a bar for
6,
bar.
actually.
These are bar for bar, verbatim. I'm ghostwriting. That's a staffer watching you for sure? No, probably not. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they came up with that on their own. Okay.
The other thing that was like when Ford unveiled the Ford Lightning, like this like F-150 with a battery that could like power a house. Like that car is extremely cool. It's crazy. I mean,
the F-150. Yeah.
I mean, it's a little too damn big in my opinion, but it gets at like, okay, if there's anybody who's going to be able to chudify the electric car, the thought to me was always going to be like, oh yeah, it would be like whoever does like the F-150 electric. But like even that's not like proven to be. I mean, like it's popular and it's in demand, but like clearly it's like the Cybertruck that has emerged as like something like that, and it's like been to the detriment of the rest of the lineup and to the idea of like flipping people on buying EVs to begin with. Because like I imagine that there probably is like some segment of asshole out there who doesn't really want an EV but wants a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Oh, true. The GMC Hummer EV is the Chud EV, especially because it has that stupid ad. Like,
oh my god, it's so sick.
It can like move.
It can crab walk.
It can crab.
Yeah, I love that. If it wasn't so if it wasn't such a monstrosity, like oh man,
it wasn't such a monstrosity. It wasn't like 2000s conservative, like like boomer con coded. It wasn't also like to me like I see the crab walk thing though, and I'm like. Is that just like an advertisement for not being able to parallel park?
Bro, don't send me up lovely tweets, please, while I got fucking anti-Semitism crosshairs on me, okay? God damn. I'm going to get my fucking... That's it. Someone's going to clip that and just be like, dude, see, he briefly saw up lovely tweet. That means, you know... I'm not saying he's anti-Semitic, by the way. I'm just simply saying that people will use that against me and this community.
Yup.
That is a ridiculous article title, though. To be fair,
I didn't even see it because I don't. My eyes don't glaze anything.
No. Ea Lovely is nice, man. Like, I'm not
Obviously,
saying that.
He's no, but I'm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
a lot of the EV charging infrastructure in America was built by Volkswagen as a consequence of the Dieselgate controversy. So I don't think they really fully asked it. And I'm not aware of anyone else doing large scale EV infrastructure in the US. No, they're shutting off EV infrastructure.
I mean, I recently had this experience where like I rented this car and I had to drive 250 miles two ways and like finding superchargers, etc. It wasn't difficult and I was in a pretty rural area, but like you also see though how like Rivian's got chargers, Tesla's got chargers. Like there is like this like incomplete patchy quality to it that is like again segmented by brand.
Anyway, getting back to the American collapse here. Trump suspends most new tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada.
Trump
wow.
Backtracked on his new tariffs after a stock market sell-off.
Tariff whip.